Yay, what's going on, man? Fly Free Sports back in the building. Another NBA stream. It's been a minute, but we back to save the day. My favorite co-host, you already know the name. Ben is with me again.
Hey, what's up, man? Good to be here. Good to be here.
Yes, sir, man. Gonna chop it up on a little basketball talk tonight, as always, man. Interesting, interesting turn of events, man, in the East
hmm
specifically. Um,
hmm
The Cleveland Cavaliers have been on a tear. They are now second in the East
hmm
behind
Yep.
the Boston Celtics, who have held that one spot down for the entire year.
Yep.
Um, I find that very interesting because it was not expected from me. That was not a part of what I thought was going to happen this season at all. So, and I'm
hmm
probably sure you're the same way.
Yeah, that is definitely surprising. I think everybody expected them to improve with Donovan joining the team, but this improvement is above, I think, everyone's expectations.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Amani Bates has not even played really. Like he's been in the
hmm
G League, and he was somebody I expected something big out of coming into the year. I know when they drafted him in the second round, I expected him to do well, but they haven't even used him yet. So that could be even bigger development as the
hmm
season goes on if they want to bring him back up, or I don't know if they brought him back up or whatever. But I know he's not playing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Milwaukee, third. You know they've been two,
hmm
three the whole year.
hmm
Struggling on defense. And since we last left off with them, they fired Adrian Griffin and hired Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
You know, Doc Rivers is like, it's not a good hire, bro. Like, their front office, and I know we're gonna get into the trade deadline. I mean, I have a comment about some the trade they made at the deadline, but um, I don't know what the rationale is for that hire. Um, it I think it is a. I think that this is a symptom of a organization that over relies on analytics. This is what that smells like to me, and I do stats for a living. I teach it for a living, right? So I'm partial to my analytics people because I do see value in what they do. But to me, these moves they're making, it smells like we're just going to rely on what it says on paper, how we should be.
Right.
Um, Doc has proven that he is not really capable of making adjustments, particularly in playoff situations. Um, even those diehard Boston fans, when they won the championship, they will even tell you that the Celtics won that championship really in spite of Doc, not because of Doc. They had
Right.
to overcome his deficiencies as a coach in order to win that championship in '08.
Yeah.
So I think this is uh front office probably had extremely high expectations with Dame coming into the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're top three in the East, I think that they felt that they should have been able to keep pace with the Celtics more. And as it stands, they're 8 games behind the Celtics, and that's not keeping pace.
Ooh. Yeah.
And so I think they're just trying to make big splashes to kind of show the front office and the fan base that they're just trying really hard.
Right.
But I don't think that it seems like they're trying to instill like a defensive culture there,
Right.
and I don't think it's going to be successful.
It's just like I've never seen a coaching change with a team that had that good of a record that late in the
Mhm.
season. Like that's what made it odd
Yeah.
to me. It's like it made you feel like something internally was going on, maybe with him and the players, or
hmm
people. I know it was a lot of speculation that he got into it with Giannis, and Giannis shot that down. Like, no, I loved him, and
hmm
he wished we could have made it work and all this stuff. But it just something like that. To me, that's what it seems like. It seems like there was some
hmm
kind of turmoil within, the locker room with the players. So,
hmm
but I don't know. We I guess that's something that'll come out later, or we'll never know, or or whatever. But that's
Yeah.
what it seemed like. So
And when you look at their record and how they're playing, the Bucks, if you just took the Celtics out of the NBA and just looked at
right,
the other records, they're on pace with all the top teams on
right,
both conferences. It's
exactly,
just the Celtics are just head and shoulders above everybody else right now.
right.
So it's not from a comparative standpoint, it seems bad, but you're right there with the Timberwolves, with the Cavaliers, with
Hmm.
Oklahoma City. Like you're right there. So the Celtics are they're just better.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not changing what I said at the beginning of the year. I still feel like Milwaukee will get the job done. It makes it a little bit more difficult to me now that they have Doc because I know his history is like, damn man, like
Hmm.
it makes me feel like they're gonna flame out in the playoffs. That's what it feels like.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I'm not I'm holding strong on my pick, man, of them going to the NBA finals and winning. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change.
Yeah.
Um the Knicks, another team to watch out for. They made
Hmm.
the trade for OG Anunoby.
Hmm.
Um since then, well, he's injured now, but when he was playing, they were rolling. Like I think they won like something like 13 out of 14 games when he was playing or something like that.
Hmm.
Crazy. So and Jalen Brunson, he's a guy that I think needs to garner some MVP consideration
Hmm.
just off the
Yeah.
standpoint of him raising that team's level of play to what they are now. So to me, Jalen Brunson is one of those guys that should be on the MVP ladder. You know,
Hmm.
Embiid, he's probably ineligible now. I'm sure he's missed more than the maximum
Hmm.
games required to win it.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's a race between Shea, Jokic. Uh, there aren't too many guys. That's why I said Jalen Brunson should be up there because when
Yeah.
you think about it, it's like how many guys are really having a standout season. Like you can't put Luca up there. I don't think Dallas's record is good enough.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
I
I
think
don't know.
the MVP race, I think through the first half of the season, to me, it was always a three-horse race. It was Embiid, it was Jokic, and it was Shea. And we've talked about how Shea has played well enough to deserve the trophy, but short player bias, I think, is going to play into the decision
Yeah,
there. So I thought that Embiid would actually, become the MVP. But with this injury, he's not going to be eligible for that now. So
he definitely would have won it though.
yeah, I mean, just he's just having a monster year, and it's unfortunate. I haven't read anything recent on the injury and how it's going, but looking at the replay, um, the guy fell on him when he was on the ground. So I'm hoping that lessens the extent of the injury. The fact that it
Hmm.
wasn't like a contact, or his knee didn't buckle, he just kind of fell on him, or
Right,
it shouldn't be like a hyperextension or anything.
right.
You hope that he can kind of come back, but I haven't read anything recent on like the timetable so.
Yeah. I'm not, as you know, I'm not too fond of Embiid, but
Yeah.
he
You
was
don't care.
he was hooping though before he went down. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, I ain't gonna take nothing away from him, man. He was
Yeah.
having like you said, he was having a monster season. So
Mhm. Yep.
I can't hate, man. I never been a hater. So Joel Embiid, salute to you, man, for
Yep. Yeah. Shout out.
balling.
Speedy recovery.
Yeah. Um, just let's get into this trade deadline, man.
Mhm.
Like I said, Ananobi came before that was like a week or two before the trade deadline.
Mhm. Yep.
But the Knicks also got Bojan Bogdanovic from the Detroit Pistons. Now, to me, that may be even an even bigger move for them because
Mhm.
that adds a lot of scoring to a team that didn't have too many guys that could create. So he's another guy that can do that.
Mhm. Yep.
They added OG Anunoby, like I said, for the defense. And the
Mhm.
Knicks were already a pretty good defensive team, and they only
Mhm.
got stronger.
Yep.
I think that team is like a big man away from making some serious noise, man, in the league.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. They're big time. It's a small team, but they're a young team. Relatively. And there's a lot of upside, right? When you
Yeah.
look at the Knicks, it's like, okay, they're coming. They're on the trek upwards. When you look at teams like the Bucks and the Celtics, it's kind of like we're here now, right? And there's not really a uptrend for those two teams, right? And
Hmm.
really the Sixers, I put them in that bucket as well. It's kind of like you are where you are and is only down from here. So
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see how that develops as that Knicks team kind of gets more cohesive and puts more pieces together.
Yeah, I agree. I agree fully with that. I think they're going to be dangerous. Next year is probably going to be the year where they advance further in the playoffs. I think they'll do okay this year in the playoffs, but I think next year they're going to make some serious noise,
Yep.
depending on obviously what they do in free agency.
Yep. Agreed.
Um, what was another trade that happened?
Yeah.
Oh, this was interesting. I found this interesting because you had mentioned campaign
Yep.
on the Bucks as a
hmm
major contributor to to the goal.
hmm
He ended up getting traded,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
they brought in Pat Bev, who's a leader, veteran.
hmm
We all
hmm
know Pat Bev, hard nosed defender. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's the guy. He comes in with, like I said, with more leadership,
Yeah.
and I think that's gonna pay big dividends for them in the playoffs, man. I really do.
Yeah. You know, I understand why they did it. I didn't agree with the trade initially when I heard about it because again, I really believe that campaign. I felt that he was just this powder keg that just needed an opportunity to get minutes and take off, and it just didn't happen the way that it did. Um, but if you got an opportunity to upgrade defensively that much, to
Right.
me it makes sense. Um, I will say though, so Chuck always says you need a crazy guy on your team to win a championship, and
Hmm.
Pat Beverly definitely checks that box, right?
For sure.
Um, so it makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. My concern is what kind of locker room guy is he? And if a coach gets fired mid-season and there's any indication that the locker room was a contributor to that firing, to me, adding Pat Beverly to that locker room doesn't fix that. It makes that problem worse, if indeed that is what's happening, right?
Right.
Um, so I think there's a concern there. We know there's beef between him and Dame. Dame kind of say, "Oh, he's a teammate now. We're going to squash it." But
Right.
you don't forget stuff like that, man. Like just you're making millions of dollars playing basketball. Your ego is as high
Right.
as possible. Yeah,
I mean,
but again, they're professionals. They maybe they can let bygones be
I was
bygones.
about to say maybe they can put it to the side for the greater good, man.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
mean, we've seen it before, like in the '80s. I forget the name of the guy, but when the Celtics and Lakers were in their rivalry, there was a guy that played for the Celtics that came over to the Lakers, and he kind of made it work. But so you've seen it happen before. Um, Rodman ended up on the Bulls after the big rival when he played for the Pistons, although
Yeah.
it was a lot of years later. But so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be an interesting development in the playoffs, man.
Mhm.
I really want the playoffs to start, man. I'm over the regular season. It's just kind of drawn out. We know who the teams are gonna be. Like, let's
Yeah,
get this thing started, man.
yeah.
Uh Another trade I found interesting. PJ Washington traded from the Charlotte Hornets to the Dallas Mavericks for Grant Williams and Seth
Mhm.
Curry. I was that one kind of confused me because I thought Grant Williams was playing pretty well with Dallas. I thought he fit well. I thought he was playing well, and then they bring in PJ Washington. I know they kind of needed like a big man, but
Mhm.
he's not a traditional big man per se. He's more of a stretch four type of guy,
Mhm. Yeah.
and they already have that with Kleber. So I was like, I don't really know how that trade is going to work. He did play well in the game that
Mhm.
I saw. I haven't seen him play too much since he's been there. I know he probably played
Mhm.
a couple games, but I saw the first game
Yeah.
and thought he played well. But I just found that trade kind of odd, like how you said about the Milwaukee trade.
Mhm. Yeah. It's it's hard. Like you said, it's they're trying to upgrade that big man. The big man situation there in Dallas. Um, I don't know that they achieved that with this trade, like you said, especially based on Grant Williams was kind of really filling the spot, playing pretty well this year.
Right.
Um, I think that but I mean, I think they tried to just find the best big man that was out there and available. Um, so I think that was a motivation for that. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't blame Charlotte for for the trade because I guess they had to dump salary too as well. So I
okay.
think that team is like rebuilding the rebuild. Now, I
Yeah.
think that's what they're doing
Yeah.
now.
I don't yeah, it's
I
I
don't know
think
what the hell is going on.
you know, MJ is exiting or exited the ownership for that. Um, I don't know what the hell's going on in Charlotte.
Yeah,
Um,
they that's a dumpster fire, man. I don't know what the hell they got going on.
yeah, it's like they're like the Sacramento of the East. Like we're just we're just here to just make as much money as possible. We don't really care about winning games or anything.
But when you look at to me, LaMelo, Brandon
Mhm,
Miller, and Miles Bridges is a nice core to
mhm.
start with. Like
Yeah.
that right there is perfect.
Mhm.
Now, the pieces they put around them and how fast they go about, doing it or whatever.
Yeah.
But those three have to be the cornerstones of the franchise, though.
Yeah. I agree. And like you said, those are three great offensive specimens, right?
Right.
But three great offensive players does not a playoff team make, right?
Right.
There's a lot more. You have to have a system that
Yep.
works and that it is a repeatable process where every night we can go out and get wins. And that's not there. And none of those guys, LaMelo Ball, and we've had this conversation before. He has the potential to become the face of the NBA.
Absolutely.
I think that what's missing though is he doesn't have that dog in him. Like he just like
I
he
I don't
he
know.
doesn't he this is what I mean. Like he's he doesn't to me just inspire like leadership. Like
Oh no.
I'm the man, we about to go out here and do this, right?
I agree with
The,
that.
the way that Steph Curry does for his team, the way that LeBron does, like he doesn't have that
That
put the stake in
presence,
the ground.
that
Yeah,
leader, yeah.
yeah, like he doesn't command attention and fear and respect from his
I
own
think that'll
team and
come
from
with
others.
his age. I think that'll come with more experience and age, though. He's still really young, you know what I mean? So he
Yeah,
kind of came into the franchise as the guy. So maybe he's still adjusting to the role that he has to play. So
yeah, I hope so. But when I think about like Kobe
oh,
Bryant
that's
came
different.
into the
Yeah,
NBA like that.
that's
He-
different. You can't, yeah, you can't. He'll never be that type of,
I'm just saying,
alpha
like
leader.
the alphas that we think about, they brought that into the league with them, right? Even you go back like Isaiah Thomas, right? He came into the league with that alpha dog, like
Right.
this is my team. I'm going to dictate what happens. Darren Williams, I think, is a great terrible example of that, where I'm
Great,
I'm just
terrible
going to
example.
destroy the whole team. I don't care. It's my team. I do what I want. Um, so I don't know. It's not too late for him. Um,
No, 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 no.
I wonder how complacent is he in the situation that they're in? Like, how badly does he want that franchise to be a championship franchise?
LaMelo comes off to me as a guy who just wants to hoop. I just want to go out
Hmm.
there and hoop,
Hmm.
play the best I could play, and go
Hmm.
home and deal with Anna Montana and whatever else he got going on. Like
Right.
he to me, he's one of those guys that enjoys the lifestyle of the NBA, and there's nothing wrong
Yes.
with that.
Hmm.
But I think that's like a big thing for him. Like he
Hmm.
just enjoys being in the league and being a star in the league. So
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's who you want to be as a player, you just want to make a ton of money playing a game you love, then do that. Right. Like, I make decent money doing something that I love, but do I care whether my company is number one or not? No. I just
see,
want us to make enough money so that I can get a bonus next month, right?
so
Like
so
I don't
you
care.
so you Lamelo Ball,
Yeah,
you the Lamelo Ball of your
that's why
field.
yes, I can relate to LaMelo in that way.
That's fair. Hey, LaMelo. Shout out to LaMelo, man. He's one of my
Yeah.
favorite players still, man.
Hmm. Yep. Indeed.
Love LaMelo Ball. I love
Yep.
LaMelo Ball, man, since he was in high school playing at Chino Hills.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
let's see what else we got. Uh oh, uh what was it? Where is it at? Where is it? I just wanted to get the particulars right. Uh Gordon Hayward. The
Yeah. I
Hornets
saw that.
also traded Gordon Hayward. That's what it reminded me
Hmm.
of. Traded him to OKC.
Yeah.
Now that has the I don't know, man. It has the potential to be great, but I don't know if it'll work because this is one of those teams where I feel like it's one basketball, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Chet has to develop. Hopefully, this doesn't hinder his development because
Yeah.
Shea has to get his shots.
Hmm.
You got the uprising of Jalen Williams.
Hmm.
Jalen Williams is a beast. Like he's probably
Yeah.
the second option right now. I think
Hmm.
he averages somewhere around like 20 points a game, which
Yep.
is crazy. Um, so like I said, it's one ball. So who's Gordon Hayward has to get his shots, right? I mean, that they
Hmm.
didn't trade for him for no reason.
Right.
But I think that'll slow that. Maybe it's just for the year. Who knows? But I just don't want it to slow down Chet's development. How you feel about that trade?
Um. Again, I think this is a team trying to make a big splash. Um. I haven't, I don't watch a ton of NBA. I haven't watched a ton of it this year, and I haven't even heard Gordon Hayward's name since
Because he was
I
on the
think
Hornets.
really before that, like when he was coming off of the injury and he was with the Celtics when
Uh-huh.
Kyrie came in. Like it seems he hasn't really been on the radar in terms of like my recognizing or acknowledging
Right.
him since then, since way back then. So I'm always curious to see these players that have had like an injury history and have kind of been on irrelevant teams, how
Mm-hmm.
they're going to respond and pick things up. Um,
While
so
playing
it's
with a
it's
contender.
yeah, it's like how what does that look like? And like you said, you got the young superstar in Chet, the budding superstar, that you're trying to develop and kind of create your young core
Right.
with your MVP candidate and Shea. How much is Gordon? How many minutes potentially is that going to cost, and how many
Mm-hmm.
shots is that going to cost? Um, that's it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they put all those pieces together.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with that, man. Because the guys going from playing meaningless basketball to jumping straight into a Western
Mhm,
Conference race and a playoff push is
mhm.
like you don't know how they'll develop, especially with because Gordon Hayward's been in Charlotte for like 3 or 4 years now, so he hasn't played a meaningful basketball game in a long time. So
Right. Yep.
that
Yeah.
it,
So
that should be interesting to see how he adjusts to that.
yeah. So well, I mean, we'll see. It's it's a young team. They have a lot to prove. They are,
Mhm.
I think, under respected when you think about how good they are, how well they've been playing this year, but how little visibility that
Right.
team has as compared to teams that are lower than them in the standings, right? Like you look at the standings right now, OKC is second seed in the West. Um, they have way lower visibility than the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Suns,
Hmm.
the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Warriors. Like those teams are the ones that are dominating all the airtime, but
Right.
none of them have better record than OKC. And Timberwolves, I think, are also underrepresented in terms of the amount of airtime that they get. Um, so
I think the Timberwolves I think they're fool's gold, man.
mhm. Yeah,
I'm
me
just
too.
not buying it. I'm not at all. Like, I don't think they'll lose in the first round, but I
Mhm.
don't see them going past the second round though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. They still have the same team. What's gonna make me believe that they just got so much better without making a significant move? Like,
Mhm.
I know Anthony Edwards is a year better. I get it, but Carl Anthony Towns is still gonna be Carl Anthony Towns. Like,
Right. Yep.
We know who this guy is. They're not making a deep playoff run and challenging for a championship. That's just not gonna happen.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
when I think about it, they may lose in the first round, depending on if they play the Lakers. I mean, you know what I mean? You just never know.
Mhm.
They play the Lakers or the Golden State Warriors. Steph could get hot. You just don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And they're one of those teams I think could get picked off by a low seed. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I don't
definitely
know.
possible. I feel about them the way that I felt about Orlando when they kind of came out super hot in the beginning of the
Yeah.
season. And I'm like, they're
Like you
playing
don't
well.
know.
They got a young core, but and then they kind of went on a free fall there. They're actually the eight seed right now. I think they were the one seed at one point early in the season. So uh, yeah, Minnesota's they got a lot to prove. I don't know if they're going to turn the quarter. Um,
I
so
don't
yeah,
see.
we'll see.
Yeah, I don't see it at all. Um,
I tell you what, Phoenix is sitting in that 5 spot with Denver in the 4 spot. Um, that's a first round exit for Phoenix if things stay the way they are. They have no chance of beating the Nuggets 4 games out of 7. Zero chance.
None. The Nuggets, and that's even with the Nuggets' recent struggles.
Mhm.
Nuggets haven't looked like themselves, but they're a team that you trust. I mean, we just saw
Mhm.
them do it.
Yep.
It's a long season. Every team is gonna hit, peaks and valleys in the regular season. So I don't really think it's too alarming. I think as long as
Mhm.
they're playing their best ball come April,
Yep.
then they'll be fine. But
Yeah, they're only 2.5 games out. Even though they're the 4 seed, they're only two
right,
and a half games behind Minnesota. So
yeah,
they're on pace. Those top 4 teams are interchangeable in terms of their records and how well they're playing right now.
right,
So, and again, those 4 teams are interchangeable with the Cavaliers and the Bucks from a record standpoint.
hmm
So they're all kind of grouped together. And so when you got teams that are that close from a record standpoint, to your point, it goes back to okay, who do I trust and
right,
who has shown that they can get it done when playoff time comes,
hmm
right? When the games get longer, when the rotations get
get
shorter,
smaller, right,
and you're playing the same team over and over again. So it's not like there's a whole new game plan every game, right? You
right.
just played them 2 nights ago. We
You're just
know,
making adjustments from the last game. That's all
right?
you're doing.
So what? So and again, the Nuggets have shown that they can get it done, but I don't trust the Clippers. I don't trust the Timberwolves.
Nope.
I think OKC is a year away.
Yep.
The Suns, like I
Mm-mm-mm.
think Devin Booker to me, like he to me, if you're looking for that dude on Phoenix Suns, is Devin Booker, not KD. Devin Booker is that dude.
Just X KD out. I know you got beef with KD. Like your beef with KD is like mine with Embiid.
It's the thing is like I don't like the hero ball syndrome that he has perpetuated through the league, right? I don't and I you could argue that he wasn't the originator of it. Um, but I don't like how I'm gonna come in and save the day, right?
Yeah, he do have that complex. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and people say, okay, Kobe was kind of like the original, like,
Mm,
okay, I'm the savior. But Kobe, Kobe was he acknowledged and recognized when to make the pass, right? He knew in crucial moments when to make the pass. He also subjected himself to a system that he knew was championship proof, caliber and proven, right?
right.
He submitted to a system. So I don't see any of that in KD.
I mean, and at the same time, Kobe was with one franchise. So it's not like he
Right,
rolled in on his fucking horse to different franchises,
right,
promising championships or saying I'm that guy or like
right, right.
so it's already different from that aspect. So
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
KD just be all over the place. Like I be saying this all the time and people think I'm crazy, but like without him going to Golden State, his resume is the same as James Harden's.
Right. Exactly.
It's the
Exactly.
same shit. Like
I don't care that he got finals MVPs. We all know
who
that
the catalyst
Golden
was.
State was very likely to win that championship, even if he wasn't on that team. So
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. And it's already been and it's been proven. So I mean, it's
Right.
not even a speculation thing no more. So
Right.
yeah. KD, yeah, I know that's your arch nemesis right there. Like you can't stand KD. You make it a point. Hey, I'm gonna be on KD ass.
I don't know, but see
We all
again,
got them players though. We all have them type of players. We be like, man, I don't. We all got them. Mine
yeah,
are
but
well documented.
here's the thing though, like he's another one of those guys. Like, well, he's not like LaMelo. He wants to win, right? KD wants to win. He has a will to win that's up there with the best players in the league. The problem is he only wants to win if he gets the credit for the win, right? He's not. He's shown that he cannot play well with others, right? He's shown that he cannot be the second best player on the team or be recognized as the second best player on the team. He's got to be the face of the whole franchise and be the main reason why we won.
hmm
That's just his mentality when he takes the court. And until he can submit himself to a system and consistently make the right plays in critical moments, he'll
Right.
never be able to get to that level, right? So
Yeah, I agree. But that's Joel Embiid too. Like he always got to be the man and take
yeah.
500
Mhm.
shots and flop all over the place.
Yeah. The amount of three-pointers that man takes is very disconcerting. Like
Pisses me
it's
off.
dude, you are so physically dominant. You cannot be guarded one-on-one in the paint at all. That they have no hope. Why are you shooting three-pointers? What
A,
is the
fin-
point?
a finesse 7'1", 285 nigga. I've never in my life seen. Like, how? Like, come on, man.
You know, that reminds me of so this is a football reference. Friend of mine, when Leonard Fournette played for the Jags for a while and he went to
Mhm.
Tampa. And my friend said Leonard Fournette he runs like he has small feet.
Oh shit.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
he
damn,
does. He
that's
does.
true. That is very true. He be tiptoeing.
Yeah, he do. Yeah, he
you,
do,
you're
man.
like 250 pounds. Why are you tiptoeing?
He didn't run like that at LSU, but when he
No.
got to the Jaguars, yeah, he was. That's like Brandon Jacobs for the Giants. Dion used to call him the tiptoe burglar. Like, yeah, that nigga,
Come on, man.
like
You
he
got the
started his
biggest
career
shoulder
off
pads in the whole league, man. You should run harder than that.
right. Like he started. Brandon Jacobs started his career off running hard, but then
Mhm.
as the years started piling up, like he wasn't hitting that hole the same way he used to.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, hilarious.
man, yeah, there's a lot of them guys in the NBA too. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
I ain't gonna speak on them tonight, but they there.
Yeah.
Uh, All-Star game coming up, man.
Hmm.
So, in your opinion, man, in your humble opinion, who was the biggest snub for the All-Star game?
Um, I need to refresh my memory on the actual who actually went in and out because I know there was a lot of
Let's pull up the
speculation
snub
about that. Yep.
out of all these guys. Who you think is the biggest snub? Yeah, it's a list for you for sure.
All right.
Demontis Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, Trey Young,
Mhm.
Sengun from Houston, James Harden. No, he ain't no fucking snub. He's a scrub. Uh, Rudy Gobert, DeMar DeRozan. Those are the biggest ones. I know there's some more. Uh,
I'm
Wimby,
trying to find a list, but these lists are very good.
Victor Wembanyama,
He's not, and
Porzingis.
he wasn't voted as All Star.
I don't think he was. If he's in it, it had to be as an alternate or something. Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes. That's a big one. And De'Aaron Fox. I said De'Aaron Fox, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Gobert is very surprising with his defensive presence. Um. I'm just looking through this list. Like you said, Harden is not a snub. Kyrie, in my opinion, is not a snub either.
Now he ain't
Uh,
played enough games.
yeah. Chet Holmgren's not in the. He was
Mm-mm.
a snub. Yeah, that's yeah. De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, that's surprising as well, especially with the Kings playing as well as they are. Um,
I could kind of
Surprising.
understand it from the standpoint of like there's so many there's great point guards in the West, so it's like where
Mhm.
is he gonna fit in with that?
I am surprised about Jimmy Butler, but I think he was injured a lot to start the season.
Yeah,
Was he?
and
Yeah,
you know Jimmy Butler kind of like coast through the season anyway, so
yeah. Trey Young is surprising.
that was
Um,
mine. That was my most surprising.
yeah.
But he's playing. He's actually in the game now. I think somebody's injured, so I think
Okay.
he took their spot.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising. Wembanyama, I think, is really shocking. Just the season that he's having. I know the Spurs are terrible, but
Right.
the season that he's having, that's very surprising, especially the amount of press that he's received. And yeah, I think that's very surprising.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's surprising too because the popularity by itself, like, damn. And he's
yeah,
has a whole country, ain't like from France. He didn't get the
I don't know. And Sabonis, like I've liked him since he came into the league, and I felt that he's been really underrated as a player and his contributions like the whole time that he's been in the league. So that is disappointing that he's not getting the recognition I think he deserves, but you know,
yeah.
uh, it's everybody in the league is a forward now. So it's really hard to get voted into the front court because everybody plays in the front
Right.
court now. So
I gotta ask you this too. How you
mhm.
feel about Steph coming off the bench in the All-Star game?
Who's starting?
SGA and Luca. That's tough,
See,
right?
Luca is really a forward though, but
Yeah, but they
okay.
give him that point guard distinction for whatever reason. I don't understand it, but
Honestly, with if those two are your starting guards, I I can't argue for Steph starting over one of those two guys just based on the season that they're having. It sounds crazy that Steph would
right.
come off the bench, but I can legitimately say that those two guys are having better seasons than Steph this year.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm interested to kind of see with him and is it Caitlin that he's having the 3-point contest with at the All Star game?
Sabrina
Oh,
Ionescu.
Sabrina Ionescu, yeah. Yeah, I'll be interested. I think that's an interesting concept they're putting together. So I'll be interested to see
Yeah,
how
they
that
should
goes.
do more stuff like that to kind of bring more attention and excitement to All Star Weekend because the dunk contest is garbage now.
Yeah.
The 3-point contest is that's probably the highlight
Mhm.
of the weekend, but
Yeah.
they
I
gotta
like the skills challenge where they have to like go through
it's
things
cool
and they
when the
hit the
guys
thing.
take it serious. It's pretty good, like the
Yeah.
passing and all that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. That's a lot of fun. 3-point, like you said, 3-point contest is always exciting.
They need to start adding some like handling drills or something. Like they need to add something in to where it builds more excitement with the star players because you get
Yeah.
all these second tier, third tier players that be competing in these events, and it's like, come on, or offer them
Mhm.
some money, like give a cash prize to the winner or something. Give some incentive for the stars to want to participate. Like,
Yeah. They should do maybe like a blocking drill,
yeah,
right?
something like come up with something. I'm sure they could come up with something in the office. Like,
Yeah. And then you could incorporate your G League players. Like you could put Embiid out there and have G League players like drive and see how many shots he can block in a minute or something. Like that would be great.
yeah,
Um,
like just make it fun. Like,
and yeah, crossovers with like WNBA. I think that's a great opportunity. And you kind of see that when they do like the Legends thing where they have like the teams and
mhm.
they have to hit shots from certain points and they incorporate WNBA players.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
they be at All Star Weekend. Yeah,
I
hmm
think, incorporating, players from the WNBA, I think is a good they should try to find ways to incorporate the women's game into it more, especially since, you know, WNBA, I mean, NBA is going all in on trying to promote like the amount of media money that is being thrown at the WNBA to try to promote that game is ridiculous.
They ain't got to worry about because Caitlin Clark coming next year, and it's about to be real. Like,
So honestly, like I don't women's basketball has never really been that particularly intriguing to me, but I will watch her. Right.
man, that
And and
killer.
here's the thing, Caitlin Clark, I may not be the first person you heard say this, but or maybe I am. The potential for Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese coming into the WNBA, that is the Bird Magic rivalry, right? That
It's
is the
already built
powder
in.
kick that you already got it, right? That's everything that you need to elevate that game to the next level. That
Yep.
rivalry, that style of play, just
Yep.
you got the ingredients are there, right? You
Yep.
already have the TV rights in place, you got everything there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you just got to go out there and let the girls cook.
And don't let them meet up in the tournament this year. That'll spike it some more. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think, matter of fact, Caitlin Clark is gonna break that record tonight, all time scoring record tonight. I think too.
Yeah. I mean,
NCAA basketball.
dude, she's a monster.
I'm
Just a
pulling up
monster.
from 35 feet and just fadeaway buzzer beaters. I'm like, come on, like
Yeah, just she's like that. She's like Pistol Pete Maravich in college, man. Like just
ridiculous. And
ridiculous.
she
Just
might catch his record too. You know that, right? I think she
yeah,
got
he
a few more
averaged what
games.
44 points a game or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she gonna catch the total points though.
Oh, total points. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she might catch that. She got an outside shot of catching that. So
Yeah.
that's crazy.
She's great, man. The WNBA is just wouldn't they're just I would love for that game to grow. I would love for it to be something that I'll be interested in watching more frequently, but until they start catching oops, it's
Right.
just not going to be that
Right.
exciting to watch.
And the players are evolving though. Like you can
It's
see it
yeah,
slowly
yeah.
but surely. It's coming.
They're closing the athleticism gap, right? It's
Uh-huh.
it's slow, but it is progress from 25 years
Oh
ago,
yeah,
right?
hell yeah. It's way,
So
way more advanced than then. The other girl,
yeah,
Juju Watkins on USC, that's another
hmm
one. Like
hmm yeah,
it's just amazing, man. Freshman.
yeah. So I mean, they're coming. So we'll just we'll see what happens. Um, but I think the WNBA is that's something that's more they're more reliant on live ticket sales,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have to be able to make the game more compelling for people to come and buy tickets to watch it,
Right.
because it doesn't matter how good the sport is, people aren't going to tune in to a game where the stands are half full, right? It doesn't matter how much you like that. If you want to get casual, the only way to make real money is to get casual fans to watch
Mm-hmm.
your product. Casual fans aren't going to watch something where half the stands are filled.
Right.
They
Yeah,
they won't do it.
the optics of that are not gonna like
Yeah,
it doesn't
like
lend itself to high viewership whatsoever.
my mother doesn't know two things about football, but she will watch the Super Bowl every year.
Because it's packed. And
It's just
it looks like you're supposed to be watching it. Like I'm supposed to
yeah,
be watching this right now.
yeah. Like she knows, like the big sporting events. She watches them every year. She knows who Steph Curry is. Like she
Yeah.
does not watch sports, but she knows who Steph Curry is, right? So
Yeah, they need that compelling star. I mean,
yeah,
and I like I said, I think Caitlin Clark is gonna do that for him, and like you said, Angel Reese too. So
Caitlin Clark will be, in my opinion, the biggest star coming in the history of the WNBA, coming into the league.
for
Like
sure.
there was a lot of hype when they first joined the league and the women were coming off of
Hmm.
the Olympics, like Olympic gold medal. There was a lot
Hmm.
of hype around that, and deservedly so. But all of them pale in comparison to the star power that Caitlin has right now. So
I
we'll
thought
see
I'd
what
never,
happens.
I thought I'd never see a women's basketball player better than Diana Taurasi, and I'm sitting here like,
Oh,
damn,
that Diana's still the goat, man. She's
yeah,
still the
she the
goat.
goat for now, but it's like, yo, what
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark doing? If she carries this same thing to the league,
Mm,
oh my goodness. Like,
yeah. And well, Caitlin hasn't won a championship
I
yet,
mean,
has
but
she?
her roster is. Did you see
It's
that
stacked.
championship game last year?
I mean, it's
She was out
stacked.
there hooping by herself. She had the one girl, Zanano, Monica Zanano, I think her
Mhm.
name is, but that was
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
Angel Reese out there hooping with Flau'jae Johnson and
Mhm.
all the
Yeah.
other the senior point guard they had. Like they were just. We knew
Yeah.
going into the game LSU more than likely was going to win, even though the best
Yeah.
player was on Iowa. Like
Yeah. Yep.
and they still couldn't do nothing with Caitlyn though.
Yep. Yeah, she's gonna be a problem for a long time. But yeah, be exciting to see.
For sure, man. For sure. I'm gonna make a bold prediction about that. And whoever draft her first, they going to the champ. I mean, not then they going to the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
I know they had a worst record in the league, probably, but they going to the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the league is still what, 12 teams, I think. So I
Mm, it's only 12.
believe so. Let me see.
It's more than that, like 18 or 14 or something like that. WNBA.
I only see 12 on this list.
Oh damn. The Aces.
It
The
was
Aces.
once much bigger, but then they had to contract the teams because the league
Yeah,
was losing too much money.
that's crazy. It's only 12 teams. Yeah, it is only 12 teams.
Yeah. Another show, not tonight, but I want to have a whole discussion around the pay gap between WNBA and NBA.
Oh
But
yeah, for sure.
it's gonna be controversial, but yeah, you're gonna have that conversation at some point, probably around the start of the WNBA season.
Yeah, I look forward to that one.
Mhm. I have a
But
couple quick things before you go to your next one. So
yeah, you got
you
it.
know me, I be watching the numbers.
Hmm.
So the Detroit Pistons have been disappointing for reasons that you probably wouldn't expect me to say. Um, as of January 22nd, they were 4-38, and they were on track to have the worst record in the NBA. And from January 22nd to now, they've won as many games as they did the previous 42 games.
Yeah,
They are 4-7. So they are, unless they don't win another game, they will not be the worst record in history NBA. So something has gotten into them where they've decided that we just don't want that. So
even the games that they lost, like a few of them were like it was a game last week where they lost to the Clippers.
mhm,
They led the whole game. They just let the Clippers have a big fourth quarter. So like even that game, it
mhm.
showed like damn, they turned some type of corner.
Yeah, they won a couple games on their road trip that they went on, and then they beat OKC at home
Hmm.
before the road trip. So, shout out to you, Detroit. I was
Yeah,
was
Detroit, they
I
not
was
laying
rooting
down.
against you. But yeah,
They
exactly.
not laying down. Monty Williams got them boys at least giving the effort. So
Yeah.
that's encouraging.
Um, and then I want to talk about the Grizzlies because I know you're disappointed in your team. So I want to talk about this now so that we can end the show on a good note.
For sure.
So again, I have not been watching a lot of basketball, but looking at going into their stats, they are 13-17 since Ja returned. Right. So a little bit under 500, which is where I thought that they would perform a lot better than that. Um and the problem in Memphis, I'm not, first of all, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know because I know you know this team inside and out. But for people who are watching,
Hmm.
um, defense is not an issue in Memphis. Memphis,
Hmm.
in terms of efficiency, is a top 10 team, but they are dead last in offense. They cannot score. Dead last in offense, 29th. They're last in field goal percentage and 29th in three-point percentage. They play a slower pace of basketball, but they can't get buckets. So I I don't know how you can't. I don't know how you don't blame the coach in a situation like that. How do
Yeah,
you not make the adjustment to go more up tempo or try to, change something around? And lack of a low post presence is a big part of that, right? Because you don't have a
mm-hmm.
Joel Embiid or a
Hmm.
Giannis or Jokic you could throw in and get a bucket. So that is a hindrance, which is why I think they're trying to make the moves they're making. But you can't be dead last in offense. Like you got to do something.
Yeah, I agree with Taylor Jenkins being a big part of the issue. You also have to look at like we've been ravaged with injuries this
Hmm.
year. Like
Yep.
it's been. I mean, Ja played what 9 games before he was gone. So we
Hmm.
were like I think like 6-3 with him. Then
Yep.
he went out with the shoulder.
Hmm.
Desmond Bain went out shortly after that, and he hasn't played since. So he's been out for over a month.
Hmm.
Marcus Smart also has been out in and out of the lineup. He's missed probably 30 something games.
Yeah.
It's just been injuries have been the biggest thing this year.
Yep.
Along with Ja's suspension. But you're right. Taylor Jenkins is not the guy for the job. I've been saying that the whole year. But I do a couple things that I do like that we have discovered while all these guys were out. It's kind of like a blessing in disguise with them being out. Vince
Mhm.
Williams has been a revelation. Like Vince Williams Jr.
Mhm.
and Gigi Jackson, those are two names to keep an eye on for next year.
Mhm.
Coming into the year, we didn't have the wings to compete. David Roddy and Zaire Williams and guys like that. They were counted on as guys to be got to come in and give good minutes,
Mhm.
and they didn't pan out at all. As we traded Roddy and Zaire, he's just complete garbage. But Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams Jr. Those two guys are the two wings that we've been looking for. And they've been playing great ball over the last month, and it's exciting. Gigi Jackson is actually the youngest player in the NBA.
Okay.
And he's from South Carolina, wing. He got good size. He can shoot. Very athletic.
Mhm.
I think he's gonna fit in nice off the bench come next year, because he was in the G League half this year while
Mhm.
while we were competing, trying to get back into the race.
Yeah.
And Vince Williams Jr., like I said, Vince Williams Jr. probably will start for us next year. So I think those two have been great revelations, man, in a in
Mhm.
a in a season that just went off the rails. So I'm looking forward to next year and seeing them guys play alongside Ja and Dez and Jaren, man. I think we're gonna be pretty good, especially with the additions we make. We got a high draft pick because of the blow up this year.
Mhm.
I think
Yep.
it's gonna be a real good year next year. I think we'll be back in the top 5 seeds next year,
Yeah.
barring health.
I definitely agree with all of that. Do you think that Ja has his head screwed on straight now?
Yeah, I think Ja's good. Ja's been good, man, for since he's been good for about a year now.
Mhm.
He's traveling with the team. He's not really out anymore. By himself and in
Mhm.
places that he probably has no business being. He's been more team orientated, man,
Yeah.
over the last 8 months or so. Even when he was suspended, he was traveling with the team. He just had to get out of the building before like a few
Mhm.
hours before the game started and all that stuff. But he's
Yeah.
been locked in, man. I've been keeping an eye on it. Trust me, like I
Mhm.
sure like what he got going on. But yeah, he's been
Right.
he's been pretty locked in with his teammates, man. It's good to see, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to hear that he's getting his priorities straight. Um and I'm a huge fan of his, and that team, he is all the stuff I was talking about at the beginning of the show. He's that dude, right? He's that alpha dog. He's got that fire in him. He's a leader. He's one of those players that dictate what the other 9 players do.
Hmm.
He's got all of the skills, he's got the mindset. Um, he's on a young team that has all the upside in the world, and this is the he's got to put the pieces together now, because it's Ja or bust for the
Right,
Grizzlies, right?
right. He's
And
gonna go as far as we're gonna go as far as he takes us.
yeah, and I'm hopeful that he's kind of, like you said, locked in, and that he's focused on that, because I
Yeah,
do see a championship in that team's future, but not with that coach.
yeah. I think that kind of pisses me off because these injuries will probably be used to say, "Oh, Taylor Jenkins didn't have his full arsenal this year, so let's just give him one more year." And it's like, I really don't want to deal with this shit for another year. Because even when we're at
Yeah.
full strength, he still makes bad coaching decisions to cost us games,
Mhm.
and it's been like that for a couple years. But I don't know. We'll see where we go with it. But I'm definitely in favor of letting Coach Jenkins hit the road, man.
Yeah.
Sick of his shit. For
All
sure.
right, enough about the Grizzlies. Like I said, I want to end on a good note.
Yeah, it's been a bad season, but we'll be back.
Yep.
Yeah, this is what I really really wanted to talk to you about, man.
Mhm.
It's been, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's been a lot of players going for 60 plus points. I'm talking about big outbursts, 50 plus, 60 plus. Luca with 73.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
I don't know if you attribute that to lack of defense or just the scoring ability of these guys in 2024 has gotten so crazy that it doesn't matter what
Mhm.
kind of defense you play, they're just gonna get it. Like I don't know what I don't know. People have varying opinions on that.
Mhm.
But my question to you, I actually have two questions for you. First, what do you attribute that to? The scoring outbursts, and number two, I know eventually that 81 points from Kobe is gonna fall.
Mhm. Yep.
And out of everybody in the league, who you think has the best chance of surpassing that 81 point mark?
Gotcha. Yeah. Those are excellent questions. Um, the first one, I think it it puts me in my bag from a statistic standpoint because like what's causing the outburst. I think that these things are a product of the NBA or teams playing at a much higher level of efficiency than they have really in the NBA's history. Um, I saw a YouTube video that talked about how basically the NBA has been hard solved, right? Like we've this game has been figured out, and the players are playing it at the highest possible level
Right.
imaginable, right? When you think about the systems and the incorporation of 3-point shooting, how just how efficiently the teams are like the worst shooting team, the worst shooting 3-point team still averages 34% from the 3-point line,
It's
right?
crazy.
That's just the shooting efficiency overall and ability to score. And because when you watch the games, so the final scores we're getting in the 130s and 140s is reminiscent of what it was like in the 70s. The
Hmm.
difference is in the 70s, nobody was playing any defense. It was just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Right.
But it's not, and or even when you watch like the Lakers in the 80s, right? They had high scoring games, but it was fast paced. And those Lakers Celtics, games, some of them in the 110s, 120s, it was great defense being played. It's just the pace of the game was so
Right.
fast, right?
A lot of
So,
possession.
and when I watch NBA, there's a lot of possessions, but generally there aren't a whole lot of bad shots is being jacked up for no reason overall, right? Now you have really bad culprits of it, but you know, team field goal percentage is up higher. Defense is not being ignored. It's great defense being played. It's just offensive efficiency, right? To make a football reference, Bobby Bowden is quoted as saying that there is no defense for a perfectly thrown pass, right? I think the NBA is like that too. Like there's if you have a well executed play, right? You have, a pick coming off you drive and then kick it out to the corner. If you execute a good pick and roll play, there's no defense for it. Like if
Right.
you get the pass at the right guy and he puts it in, there's nothing you can do to stop that,
Right.
right? And then you have X-Men mutants like Steph Curry, where it's like, bro, like no, he's pulling up from 40 feet. Like there's no defense for that. You can't you can't guard him at the half court line. That doesn't
Right.
make any sense.
Right.
But you have to, even though it makes no sense for you to guard him at the half court line, you have to because he will pull up from half court and make it.
All right.
So, and he's an anomaly, he's a mutant, but the whole league, like he is pulling up the entire league from an efficiency standpoint in the way that the game is played. And I don't see us ever reverting or returning to the bully ball in the 90s. I don't see us
No.
ever going back to that
No.
because the NBA has been hard solved. Like people have figured out this is the
Right.
most optimal way to play this game.
So you basically lean more towards offensive ability and execution as opposed to lack of defensive effort or
Oh yeah,
all that stuff.
100%. Now again, there's going to be culprits. There's going to be guys that just aren't really interested in playing defense.
Yeah.
KD, because so again, get another chance for me to shit on KD.
James
Like
Harden.
James Harden, he's not. These guys aren't going to play defense. But in terms of team defensive concepts, it's there, right? Like when people talk about building a wall against Giannis, right? Now he was able to overcome it, but it's clear that teams are putting up a concerted effort to stop
Right.
these superstars. they're just so efficient in terms of how they're able to spread the floor and maximize spacing.
Right.
Again, 3-point shooting, because in the 90s, you had to worry about like one guy. Like you had a 3-point specialist, one on every team,
Yeah.
right? With the
Yep.
Bulls, it was Steve Kerr. Before that, it was
Yep.
John Paxson. You had Reggie Miller and Larry Bird. Like there were
Jeff
specific
Hornacek.
guys. Jeff, oh man, Jeff Hornacek. What's his name? The rifleman Chuck Person.
Yeah. Even
Like
Detlef Schrempf for
Detlef Shrimp.
yeah, you're
Dale
right.
Curry, the
Can't remember
original,
that
the
stuff with
original
Dell
Curry.
Curry.
Like,
Uh,
but these were specialists, so you knew,
yeah.
okay, you cannot leave him to double. You got to
Shit,
stay on him.
what about Dale Ellis?
Oh man, stroking it.
Another
Um,
shooter.
what's the guy in Orlando? What's his name?
In
3D
Orlando,
Dennis Scott. Is
Dennis
that his
Scott.
name?
Dennis Scott. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dennis
3D
Scott
Dennis
was a
Scott.
specialist.
Scott Skiles, like
Scott,
dude,
yeah, Scott Skiles, Mark
dude,
Price.
Mark Price. Oh my god. Like, but again, these were one guy on a team, and he came out there, and you knew that was the one thing that he was good at, and you
Mm-hmm.
had to take that away. Well, now you got three guys on every team that is capable of hitting that corner three. So when you got a guy sitting in each corner, like
Tough to
how do you
defend.
do that? Right?
Tough.
You got
Tough.
Luca coming off the pick. Like what? What are you gonna? You got Steph coming off the pick. What are you gonna do? Like you can't guard everybody.
And I think it's
So
even more evident in the playoffs. Like guys are
mhm.
trying to play
Yeah,
defense and advance to the next round, but
yeah,
you still see these high scores. So yeah.
yeah. It's just the NBA has been hard solved. So the overall scoring, these outbursts that we're seeing, the frequency of them, I think is due to it is a product of the NBA becoming more efficient. And when you talk about who's going to break Kobe's record, um, when you look at 70-point performances in history, um, if you take Wilt Chamberlain off of that list, the list gets cut in half. Let's start there,
Yep.
right? And we know that Wilt was 20 years ahead of his time in terms of his size and skill set. Like he
Hmm.
just was so much better than everybody else in the 60s and the 70s. So I can't really count him. But when you think about that, outside of Wilt, I think prior to last season, there had only been like a handful of instances where somebody scored over 70. Kobe did it.
Booker.
Yep. So prior to last, because I think he did it last season. So prior to the 2020s,
Donovan Mitchell did it last season.
Donovan did it last season. Yep. Dame did it last season. Booker did it.
Like
Did he get set?
6 years ago or something, 5, 6 years ago, something like that.
Okay. And yeah. But prior to Booker, you had Kobe, David Robinson, which I don't even count that because he was chasing Shaq for the record. And
Yeah.
nobody in their right mind, when you're a top seed in the West, would have him play that many minutes and take that many shots the last game of the season. So we know
Right.
that wasn't even supposed to
That
happen.
wasn't a needed 70 at all.
No, at all. Whereas Kobe, they needed all them 81
Yeah.
points. They were behind double digits in that game.
Yeah.
And Kobe came back, and that commercial with him and Jalen, by the way, is hilarious.
Oh
How
yeah,
many
with the
olives you
olive
wanted that? 81. Oh my
and the stare down.
oh,
Or with the stare down.
oh my god, man. Oh, talk about somebody I miss. But yeah, so it only happened like a handful of times outside of Wilt. And so when you talk about performances like that, it's really like lightning in a bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I had to think about who is the most capable of capturing lightning in a bottle like that. And I mean, the obvious answer is Luca because he came within 8 points of the record.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way you don't say Luca here. But if you don't want to go with an obvious answer, first of all, I don't think we'll see a true guard, not a 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 250-pound guard like Luca. Like no. I'm talking about a guy under 6'4". I
Right.
don't think
Right.
we'll see that. Because I think that it's even with a 3-point shot, I think it's too hard for someone that size to get that many shots up in an efficient way, even in this current league. I think it'll be really hard to do. So I think if not Luca, I think your short list will probably be a Giannis. I could see a Giannis going off for 80 in a game. Probably not now with the current makeup they have, because you have a future Hall of Famer in the
Mhm.
backcourt now. So probably not so much. I think Embiid definitely is
He
on
was my
that
choice.
list. Um, I think those are kind of that's my short list, and so much, it's with Embiid. I think more so now with the way the team makeup, because you
Yeah.
have to think about it. The ideal candidate is going to be someone who is far and away the best player on a team that is fighting for a top spot or fighting for a playoff spot, and that player has a green light to do whatever they want.
That's
Right?
why
That's to me.
Embiid is my
Yeah,
choice. That's why he was
yeah,
my choice. Like, I just think and it's gonna happen within the next 2 or 3 years. I think it's gonna
yeah.
fall in the next 2, 3 years. It's
Mhm,
been building up. You can see it. Like you said, with Donovan Mitchell last year with the 70, Luca with
mhm.
73. It's like it's coming. It's coming for sure the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I think it's, again, possessions are up. So it's a lot. And Luca did it on 33 shots, 25 makes on
Yeah,
33
his
shots.
was super efficient. Like,
Yeah.
and he
It
missed a
was,
few shots in the fourth quarter, which made it what it was. Like, if he like
yeah.
without that fourth quarter, he was shooting like 85%, 90% or something like that. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
I think he had what, 41 in the first half.
That's
So
ridiculous.
yeah, like, bro, like, but he's capable of doing this. Like, he destroyed the Suns like that. He had like 30 some points in the first half and they
Mhm.
blew the Suns out. So I mean,
Yep.
we know he's like, Luca could average 50 points a game if he really wanted to, right? Like,
With the
like it's not,
slowest moves possible.
but you
Like,
can't stop it.
I'd
Unstoppable.
I would love to guard Luke. I just wanna see, like, what the hell is he doing that's so crafty that's getting him these looks? Like,
So I looked into that a little bit, and the advantage that he brings is in Europe, uh, the game is a lot more physical in Europe. You can get away with a lot more. They don't call fouls as strictly in Europe as they do here. So because of that, players are really discouraged from trying to go to the basket
mhm,
because of how physical it is in the paint. And so that pushes naturally players to go out and play around the perimeter. And we
mhm,
already know Europeans have kind of been ahead of the curve in terms of perimeter play and three-point shooting, going all the way back to the 80s and
yeah.
90s, right? So it's already part of their culture to hit the three. And so Luca he's accustomed to being in a much more physical league. So now you have somebody that's bigger than most of the people on the court. Now I can just dominate because the league is so much softer from a physicality standpoint.
Right.
So the tricks that he learned on how to create spacing in a more physical league, it just gets exacerbated when you get into a finesse league like the NBA.
Yeah. And some guys say he's deceptively quick too. Like he has like
Yeah.
that short quickness, like 1 or 2 moves, he's out of there. Like
Oh yeah. Good
once he gets you
first
on that
step.
shoulder and that hip, it's over
Mhm.
with. Like,
Yeah. First step. Yeah. That that is very underrated, and that is something that can be developed, like that first step quickness.
mhm,
But you have to be intentional about developing that specific skill set, right? That
yeah.
first step quickness. And again, all the pit players we talk about, Jordan, Kobe, they all had it. Even you look at Shaq, like when Shaq was really motivated to play,
Oh yeah.
that first step spin
Explosive
move is
for
over with.
yeah. You're done. You're done.
Yeah. Once he makes that spin in that first dribble, just you got to just hold on to him. You can't.
That's how Gilbert Arenas was too. Like that
Yeah.
first step,
Oh
you're
yeah.
you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Um,
Man,
but yeah, Luca's a magician out there. He really is. He's a magician.
unbelievable, man. Like his number, like if you look at his, I think he's averaging like 27, 8 and 8 for his career or something. Like it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, he's a mutant too. He ain't human. He's a mutant. I mean, he is that generational talent. He's the next LeBron, right? That's the guy up next, right?
Yeah.
That's your face of the league. That's you know, you're the best player in the whole league, right? Like he's that dude. There's no one rivaling or challenging him as far as that right now. Like he's the best player.
Yeah.
And he's going to be that for a very long time.
He
So I
only
hope
what,
that people get used to saying
25?
his name. I think he's younger than that, isn't he? Yes.
Shit. I hope not. I think. Let's see.
See. Yeah, 24. Born. Yeah, he'll be 25 in a couple weeks.
Crazy.
Yeah. Guess who else is only 25? Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum feel like he been in the league for 10 years. I don't know how
It
the hell
does,
he's
doesn't it?
25 years
How are
old.
you only 25? You've
He
been
was in
playing
the
since you were
Eastern Conference
12?
Finals when he was playing LeBron as a rookie. That shit felt like 10 years ago. Wow.
How are
I ain't
you
know
only
that.
25? He's about to turn 26 though. He'll be 26 a couple weeks.
Still, damn.
Yeah. It
I
it
thought he
does
was
seem
like at
like
least
he's
28. Like, damn.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, but
25.
25, man. Hey, what can I say?
That's crazy. Devin Booker not
Yeah.
even that old. I think he like 28.
Yeah. These guys are young. Shea is 25.
Yeah, Devin Booker 27. That's crazy. He
Yeah.
been
I mean,
another one, been in the league for 100 years.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The future of the NBA is very bright, man. When you think about all the players that are under the age of 30, like it's a bright future for all of them,
Mhm.
right? Um, Giannis hasn't even turned 30 years old yet.
That's crazy.
Like, bro, he's 29, bro. Like, he got another 10
Well
plus
accomplished.
years.
Yeah, like damn.
Yeah. The guys that are the faces now, these are the faces we're gonna see for the next 10 years. And honestly, you talk about Giannis, Luca, uh, Shea, Jason Tatum, like that's a bright future for us. Now, the Olympics, USA basketball, we in trouble. We in trouble, bro.
Yeah.
We in trouble. But hey, that's what you want to see is elevation of the sport across the whole globe, right? So
Yeah. I'm actually about to uh start training my nephew this summer.
okay,
Samson, he's 13.
okay.
He just turned 13. He's 5'11.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we're gonna put in some serious work this summer. I'm gonna get him right, man.
All right. He's playing basketball.
Yeah, he plays now. He
Okay.
plays in middle school. So
Yeah.
he only in the 7th grade. So man, but I'm gonna get him to that point, man, to where
Mhm.
by the time he in the 9th grade, he gonna be something serious. So that's
Yeah.
gonna be what I'm doing the whole summer every day with him.
Awesome, man. Glad you're making that investment.
Yeah, man. I want to see him do well, man.
Yeah. It's awesome, man.
Like I said, work on that first step.
Man, I'm telling you, just and understanding how to use a dribble. Like and
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Kobe talked about that.
yeah, dribbling drills, passing drills. I'm making him
Yeah.
do 300 shots a day. Like I'm not
Mhm.
bullshitting. Like he's a lefty too, so
Oh, okay. Well, I got love for the lefties, being a lefty myself, so I got love for them. But
yeah.
yeah, just it's so many nuances of basketball to get overlooked, like different types of passing, like chest pass, bounce pass,
Mhm.
understanding when to use what, um, how to pass into the post,
Yeah.
how to
Angles.
feed your big man, all at
Uh-huh.
angles and all that. It's a
It's a
lot of
lot of
nuance.
nuance. Yep,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
yeah, man.
So yeah, so looking forward to that. Okay, it's time. Instead of the
Okay.
1v1, we're
Oh
gonna
boy.
do 2v2. Got
Oh,
a few of them
2v2.
for you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We're
Well,
gonna
you,
kick
you
it
better
off.
not put Thomas and Dumars on that list because you
Oh,
already
nah,
know I'm
nah.
gonna pick them.
I'm gonna save them. I'm gonna save them, but I'm gonna
All
make it
right,
good
all
though. I'm
right.
gonna make you think at least though.
All right.
We got LeBron James and Larry Legend versus Magic Johnson and Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Oh my God. Um, this is hard. This is really hard, but I cannot imagine a world. I cannot imagine a world where any two players can beat Magic and Michael on the same team. I can't. I can't imagine a world where that would happen. Because what I'm thinking about is, first of all, defensively, they are the stronger pair defensively. Um, yeah, this is really tough, but
You know,
yeah,
because Bird and LeBron have the size. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
like
they do. However, um, if there's any one player where you could say that size mismatches don't matter, it's Michael Jordan. Like it just
very
it
true.
don't matter. Like you can give up he can give up all the inches he wants to LeBron. It won't matter. So Larry Bird has already said that Michael Jordan is God in shorts. So and that's Larry Bird saying that, right? So yeah, give me Magic at MJ.
I agree with that, man. I think and from a ball handling perspective too, like
Hmm.
they're just better ball handlers than the other two. Like
Yep.
what can there's not a shot that they won't be able to get, you know.
Hmm. Now, if it's a 3-point contest, LeBron and Larry kill him. They kill him.
In
They
a three
kill him
point
at 3 point.
contest,
They kill
yeah.
him.
Even though I think Jordan improved, like when the league actually started shooting threes like that, like and Michael
Yeah,
Jordan was like shooting a adequate adequate number of shots from 3-point range, like
yeah.
he shot them pretty well.
He shot well, but I could argue that LeBron is a more consistent 3-point shooter than
Oh
MJ
yeah,
was.
for sure. And I
So
think that has to do with the league evolving and
sure, yeah,
changing. Like,
yeah, for sure.
so yeah, but yeah, I pick Magic and Michael Jordan too because of the reasons you name as well.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
Tracy McGrady and Paul George versus Kevin Durant and Vince Carter.
Man, that's another tough one. Man,
Yeah,
that's
that's
tough.
tough.
That is tough. I'm gonna go with KD and Vince though. Um,
Mm, I didn't expect that.
I got beef with KD, but when you talk about a complete player, um, complete all around, Vince Carter is the most complete all around player out of that four, in my opinion.
You think
Just
so?
in terms of what you like all the tools that a player can have overall.
See,
I
I think
think
it's
Vince
T
is the
Mac out
most
of those
complete
four.
player. I think that I think it's very close. Um, I need to think through that though, because you make a good argument for T Mac. Um,
Because T Mac didn't really have too many holes in his game. Like he didn't have a weakness that you could just exploit. You know what I mean? It's like
he
I
didn't, but here's the thing about KD: as much as beef as I have with him, um, there is there's just not an answer for him at all offensively. Like he's 7 feet tall with guard skills. There's just not a way there's not a way to stop any of that. He's the most unstoppable, I think, of all four of those players. Like it's just like
yeah.
you can't what do you do with that? Um
I think Paul
so
George will make it a little tough though at times.
I think that if if I'm trying to win a best of 7 series, I think T Mac and Paul George are the better team. But if I'm, you know,
A
if
game
it's
for your
nine and
life,
nine, yeah, if it's 9-9, win by 2 on a pickup game, I think
Kevin
KD and
Durant.
Kevin Durant is going to be the difference maker, right? So
That's a that's tough, man. Cause yeah, that's tough. I think I'll probably think you might have explained that one well too.
it's
If it
hard,
was,
man.
yeah, it's like I like T Mac and Paul George better as a team. Like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
like that fit better than Kevin Durant and Vince Carter.
Yeah.
And I think from And Tracy McGrady, if he never gets hurt, I think I mentioned this a few times. Like if he never gets hurt, he's mentioned up there with the Kobe's and guys like that.
Mhm.
So what Kobe said, Kobe said Tracy McGrady is me, but taller.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yep.
like the highest compliment you could pay.
Mhm.
And that's like
Yeah.
I'm just so fond of Tracy McGrady that I think he could go shot for shot with Kevin Durant. Like I don't
Mhm.
think KD or Vince Carter could guard him.
Yeah.
And but I think I'll go yeah. I think I'll go with KD. Yeah, I think I'll go with KD and Vince. Slightly though, like very, very slightly.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah. That's the toughest one probably though. Gilbert Arenas and Manu Ginobili versus Jamal Crawford and SGA.
Hmm. Yeah. Gilbert and Manu. Give me Gilbert
Ooh.
and Manu. Um, now, there's some asterisks here, right? If this is pre-big contract, Gilbert Arenas,
Now this is like
yes.
all these guys are prime. We talking about prime everybody.
So, the reason why I say that is the Gilbert Arenas before he got the big contract was a much more motivated player than Gilbert Arenas after the big contract. So,
Mhm.
if we're talking about like max level Gilbert Arenas, um, yeah, like Agent Zero, like give me that dude. When you talk about the only person he is came the closest to me to Kobe in Kobe's era to being Kobe's equal, right? To me, he came the closest, like Agent Zero. And then Manu's one of the most underrated players in the history of the NBA. Just the skill set that he had, his scoring ability despite his size is just something it's like watching a painter paint. His offensive display.
And
Um,
he introduced the Euro step to the league.
oh yeah, like he's just such an innovator, and like how did he do? How did he just do that?
Man,
um,
it was Houdini out there.
yeah. So yeah, and no hate to Jamal Crawford or SGA. I think they're both terrific players. Um, they are, I think they are the better defensive pair for sure. Um, but yeah, Agent Zero, Manu, man, give me them.
I think this is gonna be the first one we have varying opinions. SGA and Jamal Crawford are literally getting any shot they want in this game.
Hmm.
Jamal Crawford, I don't believe anybody can stay in front of him. And if you're asking Gilbert Arenas or Manu Ginobili to stay in front of Jamal
Yeah.
Crawford in a 2-on-2,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
not gonna go well. And you know Shea is gonna create his own shots, and he's gonna do his. I think that's too much offensive firepower for Manu and Gil to compete with, man. So
Yeah.
I'll take SGA and Jamal Crawford for sure. Like, I think their game is tailor made for that type of setting. 2-on-2,
Hmm. Yeah.
I think they got that.
Yeah. It just again, the thing is you have to consider Gilbert across his. I mean, we're talking about in their primes, but
Right.
across his career, right? So, and to me, like his career was like three acts, right? It was his first few years in the league, and then it was when he got the big contract, and then it was after the gun charges, right? Like
Hmm.
it was three acts, and so you have to consider the type of player he was across all three of those acts, and I think that
Absolutely.
just brings his stock down a lot,
Yeah. But when I mention all these guys on these in these games, I mention them like I'm
Yeah, at the
referring
top.
to them at their
Yeah,
peak level. So Steph and Shaq versus Dream and Kyrie.
Steph and Shaq,
Fast, huh?
Steph and Shaq, like dude, Steph and Shaq.
You don't think
No disrespect to Dream and Kyrie, like no disrespect to them. But it's Steph. It's Steph, bro.
but
Like it's
And I'm gonna play devil's advocate. There's a lot of people out there that would say Kyrie, like Steph can't mess with Kyrie in that type of scenario, like a 2-on-2 or a 1-on-1 or something like that. There's a lot of people that say, look, Kyrie will give him buckets. Steph can't guard him, you know.
Yeah. So when you think, all right, so when you think about 2v2, right? Steph cannot stay in front of Kyrie. I think we all know that. But on both of those teams, you have an eraser at the basket. So for me, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, if you're talking about pick and roll and driving to the basket, both of those teams have an eraser. It's going to be really hard for you to get a shot off on either of those centers. So the difference then becomes perimeter play, right? And Steph Curry, I could make a very strong argument that he's the best perimeter player that NBA has ever seen. Just what he can do on the wing, it's just a revelation. When you talk about Dream and Shaq, okay, so we know that Hakeem gave Shaq the business in the finals.
Another
That
reason I
was,
did it.
but that was Hakeem at his prime versus Shaq on the ascent, right?
Yeah.
Hakeem 2001, 2002 Shaq. Hakeem does not give 2001 Shaq the business, right? That's a completely different player altogether. So yeah, you talking about 2002 Shaq? He was just a force, just an unstoppable force that the likes of which we've never seen, in terms of low post presence. Like there's just no comparison. So yeah, Steph and Shaq.
Who was the wrestler that said it's true? It's damn
It's
true.
damn true. Yeah, Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Kurt Angle.
Damn
Yeah,
true.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Like I just had to play devil's advocate because I know there's people out there that like, look, Kyrie will bust Steph ass. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, Steph is not a great. He's a good defensive player, but no, Kyrie is Kyrie. Like you're not staying in front of him at all.
at all. Nope.
At all.
Nobody.
No,
Nobody is.
nobody.
This is a good one. Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire versus Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. Suns Clips.
That is tough. That is very tough. That's hard, man. Because I loved all four of these players. I loved watching all four of these players. I really like those Phoenix Suns teams, watching them, and I really like watching those Clippers teams. I will give a slight edge. I give a slight edge to Steve and Amare because of, I think their chemistry as teammates is better. I think they both have egos that are containable enough that they can work together to win. I think Chris Paul's ego, I think that is what has blocked his success more than anything else, is how big his head is.
So side question, who Chris Paul or Steve Nash?
Just straight up one-on-one?
Like who would you
Chris
take
Paul.
on your who you taking on your team?
Well, see, that's the thing. Again, if we're talking about who's the better point guard, it's Chris Paul. Right. In terms of like, okay, overall skill set, offensively and defensively, it's Chris Paul. But if I had to pick one of them to lead a good team to a championship, it's Steve Nash. Right? Like Steve Nash is the better leader, on-court leader.
Gotcha.
Chris Paul is the better player.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too. Yep. And in that game, I'm taking Nash and Amari Stoudemire. Like you said, more cohesive. We've seen like I think they advanced farther in the playoffs than those Clippers teams did.
Yep.
Nash with the 2 MVPs, even though one wasn't really deserved.
Yeah.
But the fact that he got
it's like that year Charles Barkley won the MVP. Like, okay, and I'm a big fan of Chuck and all that, but dude, in the 90s, can you really argue for anybody being a better player than Jordan in the 90s?
Jordan should have got MVP that whole.
He should have won an MVP every year.
Don't he got like 10 scoring titles or something like that? Like,
something ridiculous.
Hey, come on, man.
You
They
led the
did,
league in scoring in the triangle offense. Like, what kind of shit is that?
but that was like voter fatigue or some shit. Like that's what that
Man,
was.
yeah, I suppose so. You know, they want to kind of spread it around and make people feel
Yeah.
good. So
Even the year Karl Malone won, that man, get out of here with that shit, man. We know who the MVP was, and then he proved it in the finals.
right, exactly. So
Last but not least,
all right.
Kawhi Leonard and Dirk Nowitzki versus
Ooh,
Carmelo Anthony and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
ooh, man. Okay, hold on. Give me them names again. I need this to soak in. So Kawhi
Kawhi
led.
Leonard
Mhm.
and Dirk
And Dirk.
Nowitzki
Okay.
versus Carmelo Anthony and Giannis.
Wow. Wow. First of all, these are 4 stone cold killers. Let's just get that out the way. Let's just get the these are those 4 alpha dog, last second game on the line, clutch perform like period. Um Man, that is really hard. So I will tell you, here's my thought process. I I want to lean towards Kawhi and Dirk because I think that the inside outside dynamic of that is more appealing and will be more successful. But then I think about Carmelo and Giannis and just the mismatches that
Mhm.
creates when you have those two players on the same team. Um and like just like Carmelo, that first half of his career, Carmelo was every bit as good as LeBron. Like they are equal footing to me the first half of his career,
Mhm.
hands down. Like it's not even a debate in my mind that they
Mhm.
were equal footing. Um, and again, you know, he's another player that because of locker room and coaching issues, his stock kind of got pulled down because all the beef he had with George Karl and all the crap that went on
Yeah.
in that second half of his career. And I think that he doesn't get the flowers that he deserves for just how
Not
incredible of an
nearly.
offensive player he was.
Yeah. Not nearly
Um,
the flowers he deserves.
I would give the edge to Kawhi and Dirk because Kawhi, I think Kawhi is the only person on this team. He is the best consistent defender of those 4 players. So I would, for that reason, I would give the edge to Kawhi and Dirk.
Even Giannis, don't Giannis got a couple defensive player of the years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
it's
saying. I'm just
I
saying,
think
like,
it's that's
that'll
a
be an argument.
It is, but the thing is, like, that won't matter when you're guarding Dirk, right? Like when you're blocking shots or disruptive shots of like a guard is driving on you,
Right.
that's very different than when you've got what does Shaq call it? The iron leg maneuver. Like it's just like being a strong defensive low post presence is irrelevant to a player like Dirk Nowitzki. That's got so many great low post moves and so elusive. So
Yeah, and Giannis
I
isn't
think
like
that's
the best on ball defender, like, either. So
yeah. I think you're in terms of consistently on ball defense, Kawhi is the best of those 4. So I would give the edge to that team. But let me tell you something. Carmelo is Carmelo's going to be the leading scorer in every one of those games.
facts.
He's going to give both of them the business every one of those games.
Yeah, I think I'm going with Carmelo just because of that, man. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
in a 2v2, man, like the spacing that he'll have to operate, even though Kawhi Leonard is, like you said, the best on ball defender and the best defender out of the group,
Mhm.
that's I don't see him slowing Carmelo enough for them to be able to win that game.
Yeah.
And we know Giannis athletically is going to give Dirk fits. Like he's going to give him
Mhm.
fits. Now Dirk is going to get his regardless because Dirk is one
Mhm.
of the most elite scorers in NBA history. So we know he's going to get his points.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
Giannis can make it very, very difficult for him. And Dirk also has to guard Giannis. You know, that shoulder being
Mhm.
put into him, things like
Yep.
that. I
Yeah.
just I don't see Kawhi and Dirk overcoming that. It'll be a knockdown, drag out fight.
Yeah.
But I got to give the edge to Carmelo and Giannis on that one.
Yeah, it's a shootout, like you said. Like, yeah, Dirk has absolutely nothing for Giannis in the post. He ain't absolutely nothing.
And I wouldn't be
But
surprised
Giannis
if
don't have
Dirk,
anything for Dirk either. So
yeah, yeah, Dirk take his ass out to that perimeter, like,
yeah. What's
man,
Giannis gonna do?
please,
Or hit one of them step backs?
man, with the knee up, over with.
Giannis ain't got nothing for that knee.
Dirk got one of the softest touches I ever seen in my life. Like that shit is just water. Dirk
I heard
offensive game is beautiful, man.
I heard one of those ESPN commentators, I forget her name. She was talking about watching Dirk shoot. She said most players, when they shoot and you see their shot motion, they
Mhm.
have like one finger up, where like when they shoot, like they hit the ball. But she said with Dirk, it was always two fingers. And she said the impact that had was when Dirk would miss, he never missed left or right. The ball was always dead center. Dirk, if he missed, it was either long or short. He never
Yeah,
missed left or right because
crazy.
he had those two fingers where he could keep the ball
2
centered
guide
all the
fingers.
time. Yeah. So I'm like, man, like, first of all, that was some great analysis. I wish I could remember who said that. I forget her name. I think it
That's
was it's the same. No, it was the lady from the Boston Globe.
from the
Forget her
Boston
name.
Globe.
She's on like Around the Horn a lot.
Jackie McMullen.
Yeah, it was Jackie Mack. Yeah, Jackie Mack. She talked about that. I was like, man, that's some great analysis, Jackie Mack.
Yeah. That's yeah, Dirk, man. Like he's one of the guys I miss the most, like watching him play.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that Dirk in his prime when he beat Miami, like that's beautiful basketball, man.
Yeah.
And Dirk used to catch a lot of hate, but like Dirk was a killer, man.
Well, because he won the MVP that year, and then they
They
got
got
lost in the first round.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's when they started. That's when the hate started for real.
yeah. So I mean, but and then they lost to the Heat in '06 in the finals, and then they came
Yeah.
back in 11 and won.
I mean,
Which
but that's what makes it so like compelling
yeah,
though. Like he
yeah,
overcame the shit that he went through in his career to come back and win it and against a juggernaut team like that. So
oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
come on, man. They gotta
Yeah,
give Dirk his respect, man.
yeah, agreed, agreed.
So that wraps up the 2v2, man. That you know, I thought I just found that interesting.
Yeah, those are some good matchups.
Yeah, I'm gonna gather some more up, round some more up.
Cool,
Uh
sounds good, man.
yeah, man. Good show tonight, as always, man. We'll be back next week for more. We'll have some maybe somebody else will join us. Probably Chase or one of them, or maybe
Cool.
both.
Yeah, hope so, man. Miss those guys.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, we'll get into some more Fly Free Sports, man. It's been a pleasure being here with Ben as always.
Yep. Same here,
Uh
man.
my man. Like, share, subscribe, all the above. Until next time, man, we out.